Good afternoon, everyone. The Sacramento City Council will please come to order. Would the clerk call the roll, please, to establish a quorum?
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan. Here. Councilmember Tao. Here. Councilmember Valenzuela. Here. For the record, Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes would be absent this evening. Vice Mayor Maple. Here. Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Vang. Here. We expect Councilmember Gatta momentarily, and Mayor Steinberg.
I am here. Councilmember Vang, would you please lead us in the land acknowledgement? I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand if you are able. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin and Wintu peoples, and the people of Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on this ancestral land by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento Indigenous peoples' history, contributions, and lives.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. Again, a very good afternoon to you. Sorry that we are a few minutes late. We had a closed session, but we begin with a very, very special presentation today, recognizing Hmong American Day, and of course presented by the resplendent Councilmember Mai Vang.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I will be co-presenting this with my colleague, Councilmember Sean Tao. I just wanted to wish you all happy May 14th and also happy Hmong American Day, which is actually today. May 14 marks the day of the fall of Longcheng. It was a Laotian military base in Laos, and it was the last U.S. air base in Laos during the Secret War when the Hmong was recruited by the CIA to fight alongside the United States to cut the supply trail during the Vietnam War. As many of you know the story, there was a complete genocide of our people after we withdrew our troops. May 14th does mark a very important day because it was the last airlift evacuations of Hmong soldiers and their families from Longcheng to the refugee camps in Thailand, and eventually many resettling here in the United States and right here in Sacramento. The Hmong community is not just a Hmong story, but it's also an experience that I often share that it's very similar to other communities as well. It's a story of war, displacement, trauma, but it's also stories of Sacramento, of resilience. And the Hmong people have sacrificed so much for freedom and democracy. As a Hmong daughter myself, I'm forever grateful for my elders and our ancestors who paved the way so that I could be up here on the dais fighting for the people. And in just 1 and 2 generations, in 49 years, Hmong refugees and their children are now teachers, scientists, entrepreneurs. We have our first Hmong Olympians, Sunisa Lee, and elected officials across the United States. Hmong history is American history, and American history is Hmong history. And today, it's really about centering and celebrating our Hmong community, as well as their amazing contributions to this country, and a country that we also call home, because as the Hmong people, we also don't have a country, right? Our country is here in the United States. It's actually all over. We live in France, right, in China, but many of us, after the Vietnam War, after the Secret War, settled in the United States. And I'm so grateful to live in this country. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Councilmember Sean Tao to also say a few words and introduce our guest today, who we will be presenting a very important resolution.
Thank you, Councilmember Vang. Today is Hmong American Day. Back to what Councilmember Vang said, May 14th, 1975 was the fateful day that the Hmong and Laos, the fall of the base Longcheng and CIA evacuation of Laos that symbolize a mass exodus of Hmong and Laos to Thailand and refugee camps and then into the United States. We lived as subsistence farmer before then, and coming to the United States was a big culture change. But look at us now, 49 years, and we have elected officials, we have Hmong Americans who won the Olympic gold medalists representing the United States, and we can only go further, 340,000 strong. Definitely today we have numbers of CBOs here with us today to accept this resolution. We have representatives from HALO, Hmong Innovating Politics, Hmong Youth and Parents United, La Familia Counseling Center, Project Hmong at Sacramento State, the Sacramento Hmong New Year, and Lao Family Community Development Center. And so with that, we would like to present to you our Hmong American Day resolution. But also, I forgot, today was also, we worked with Assembly member Stephanie Nguyen to recognize Hmong American Day at the state capitol. So what's next is, we should push this to the federal level as well to recognize that May 14th is Hmong American Day in honor of Hmong Americans so that we find our place in America.
Yes, and I think Councilmember Chantal, you were going to announce the group that's going to do a quick performance under 2 minutes.
Oh, yes, and I would like to invite a Hmong dance group called Linh Mo Xing Jie to come do a quick performance for us. Linh, hey.
Kunya có luôn rê mua lúa lên dê Kunya có lu xóa cả cả dê Kusa cho có luôn tia tay
Is it the next?
Restart the clock.
Yes.
Oh, it's not the song?
Kunya có luôn rê mua lúa lên dê
Sorry, go ahead.
What's it?
Kunya có lu xóa cả cả dê Kusa cho có luôn tia tay cả lên dê Chua vì na thiên đại kunya có
Can we start from the beginning? Sorry. Mayor, I see you
Bryn,
dancing.
please start from the beginning of the song.
Yes, thanks.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kunya có luôn rê mua lúa lên dê Kunya có lu xóa cả cả dê Kusa cho có luôn tia tay cả lên dê Chua vì na thiên đại kunya có Kunya có luôn rê mua lúa lên dê Kunya có lu xóa cả cả dê Kusa cho có luôn tia tay cả lên dê Chua vì na thiên đại kunya có Kunya chỉ tao Yo ku chỉ bỏ có Ku la nhau Ya üşin jude Vì cu nó xa Có nhỏ dê dê Chỉ tua trắng tê Chỉ thầu bao cả chê Cụ bao kê lu Chỉ thầu bao cả chê Cụ bao lu Chỉ thầu gì có chê Cụ nhát nụ lu Có kê lu đại cụ yo có Cụ nhỏ chỉ tao Yo cụ chỉ bỏ có Cụ la nhau Ya üşin jude She tua trante Chị thầu bao cả chế cụ bao kê lu Chị thầu bao cả chế cụ bao lu Chị thầu gì cả chế cụ nhát nụ lu Có kê lu đại cụ do có
Thank you so much. Gao Yi, do you want to say a few words and then we'll take a quick photo, okay?
Can I
Awesome.
say one thing too?
Yes, Mayor, of course. And then the dancers, you should just stay up here real quick. Yeah, just stay right there so you don't have to, yeah. We're going to take a quick photo. Go ahead, Gao Yi.
Go ahead.
Mayor, did you want to say something?
No,
Oh, okay.
you please go first.
I know y'all are running a little late, so I'll make sure I keep my comments brief. Hello, Council. Hello, Mayor. My name is Cao Yi Tao. I'm with Hmong Innovating Politics, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak on behalf of this amazing group today, and those that are here today, but those that didn't have the opportunity to be here with us. Councilmember Vang and Councilmember Tao did a great job of explaining the significance of Hmong American Day. Mayor, I saw you on Saturday. Thank you for coming out to celebrate. That's how I celebrated Hmong American Day, and I was also at the Capitol as well today. But I just want to say that at the celebration, I was able to see community members, speak to some of our veterans, and it's so powerful to, as a Hmong American, being born in this country, I didn't get the firsthand experience that my parents and my grandparents did. But I feel as though the trauma that they experience still carries, intergenerationally. My family came to the United States in 1992, so they came to Bakersfield first and then settled in Sacramento. And I'm Sacramento born and raised, and I'm so proud to be a Sacramento resident. I think about how so many things have changed, right? Councilmember Vang talked about Sunisa Lee, our Olympic gold medalist. To two Hmong council members on the dais, right? So much has changed. And yet it also feels sometimes that so much has stayed the same. So in my work with Hmong Innovating Politics and our work with young people, recently we did a community needs and asset assessment. And I was very surprised to learn that, wow, like our young people today, they are still very much struggling with mental health, with economic opportunity. And so I think that really goes to show that so much has changed and we've made so much progress, and there's so much to do as well. And that's why I'm really proud that HIP, as well as these organizations right here, are creating spaces for our young people to thrive and to be a part of spaces like this so that they could also be on the front lines of the solutions that impact them and the entire community. For example, like with HIP, we recently launched Queer Hmong Intersectional Pride here in Sacramento, which is a space for our queer and trans Hmong identifying young adults to be able to gather together to heal, but also to build towards change. And so that is to say that I think as we think of Hmong American Day, it's an opportunity to honor the past, and to do that means also looking forward to see how we can move together as a community. And so I'm so excited to see young people performing for us, young people in the background, because our young people are our present and our future. And I'm so committed to making sure that our young people thrive, and I know that everyone on this dais is just as committed. So I appreciate your support, and for this wonderful recognition. It's really a day for us to be unapologetic, to be Hmong, to be loud, and to be proud. Thank you so much.
Wow. Well, you should be unapologetic, loud and proud. And I want to just repeat, if I may, what I said Saturday, because it really is important. And that is to recognize just how amazing the story of the Hmong American community is here in Sacramento and in the United States. As Councilmember Vang said, 40 years ago, this was a refugee immigrant community that came to this country with virtually nothing. And not only have you built incredible businesses, incredible culture, incredible institutions, but look at the Sacramento City Council in 2024. 25% of this city council as it sits today is Hmong American. If that isn't remarkable and progress and a story of what can happen in this country, I don't know what is. And so thank you, because that doesn't happen by accident. That happens because this community has been built from the community up. Thank you. Picture.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Over. 1, 2, 3. One more for Bloom. Thank you.
Incredible. Good job.
Thanks, Coach. Oh, I'm putting sparkles everywhere. I know, it's a little too much to wear the hat. I love it, though, but, oh, my mic is hot.
Let us move to the consent calendar. There are items that members would like to have removed to discuss. Councilmember Valenzuela.
Yes, could I pull item 2 for separate discussion and ideally separate public comment, if that's okay? I think there's just one speaker.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay. Anything else? All right. Let us hear public testimony on the consent calendar.
So I only have public testimony on item 2. So we're going to pull that
Okay.
item. We'll take that.
Well, let's hear that. Let's hear. It's fine. Well, what would you like? Let's then vote on the rest of the consent calendar. Items 1, 3, and 4. Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain. Item 2. Is there a presentation that we want to hear from staff first? Let's hear the public comment.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I do have a read to the record related to item 2, which is an ordinance deleting, amending, and adding various chapters of Title 3 of the Sacramento City Code relating to the city manager's purchasing and contracting authority. In addition to the proposed ordinance included in the staff report, staff is also recommending that council adopt the ordinance amendments set forth in attachment 3 to the staff report, which is titled Proposed Ordinance Changes in Response to Councilmember Valenzuela's Comments at Law and Legislation. Consistent with Council Rule of Procedure 7K3F, I'm highlighting this change for the council, and staff recommendation is updated to include these changes. So I do have 3 speakers: Christina Alvarez, Maria Leonor Carrillo, Joy Hunts, and then Marbella Sala. Christina? Is Christina here? Again, I'll read off those names: Christina Alvarez, Maria Leonor Carrillo, Joy Hunts, then Marbella Sala. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Alvarez. I'm a union organizer representative with SEIU USWW, specifically in Sacramento, and our union represents security officers, janitors, and airport workers statewide. I work specifically and represent the janitors here in the Sacramento, Yolo, and Placer counties. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Sara Godínez, tengo 9 años trabajando como janitor aquí en Sacramento.
My name is Sara Godinez, also a union member, and I have been a janitor for 9 years here in Sacramento.
Hi. You guys, I know you guys. I'm Joy Hunt. I'm a security officer here in Sacramento. I've done security for about, the last 6 or 7 years. And I'm here to let you know. Boom, thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Leonor Chihuahua y soy janitor por 25 años. En la mañana trabajo para la compañía de Lincoln Training y por la noche trabajo para Edgrow Apple Computing.
Good afternoon, my name is Maria Leonor Chihuahua. For 25 years, I have cleaned as a janitor the city's buildings. Now I clean the building of the city fire department for my employer, Lincoln Training Center, during the day, and at night I work cleaning Apple computer buildings in Elk Grove, where I am the steward for my union, SEIU USWW.
Hoy limpio donde los bomberos para Lincoln Training Center en el día y de noche limpio en Apple Computing en El Grove, donde soy delegada sindical para USWW.
I'm the union steward where I clean at night at Apple Computers, and I also am a janitor for Lincoln Training Center, specifically at the fire department buildings for the city.
También soy miembro del comité negociador del contrato maestro de USWW. Apenas ganamos nuestro contrato para todos los 2,000 janitos de Sacramento, con seguro familiar, vacaciones, días festivos y ahora con pensión.
I am on the bargaining committee for my union statewide master contract with SEIU USWW. We recently won a new contract for all 2,000 janitors in the Sacramento area with family health care, vacation holidays, and now pension.
Primero de todo, quisiera que yo y todos mis compañeros que limpiamos los edificios de la ciudad gozáramos de mismos beneficios de los 2,000 janitos de Sacramento. Equidad, nada más. Por ejemplo, cuando la ciudad cierra sus oficinas para los de la ciudad es un festivo pagado, pero para nosotros nomás mandan a casa sin pago.
First and foremost, I would like for me and all of my coworkers, as part of Lincoln Training Center janitors, who clean the city's buildings, to be able to benefit these same benefits like the 2,000 janitors also benefit. Above all, equity is what I would like. For example, when the city closed its offices for holidays, for city workers it means a holiday off and a holiday paid. But for workers such as myself, it means a holiday off and I am sent home with no pay.
Eso teníamos todos los beneficios del contrato de USWW hasta el 2010, cuando la ciudad nos cambió a Living Wage. Cuando la ciudad quitó la compañía de unión, teníamos por Lincoln Training, me pasó con mis beneficios.
Before 2010, we had these same wages and benefits under the USWW contract. But when the city changed to the living wage, when the city canceled with the union contract and went to Lincoln Training Center, I lost those years of benefits.
Por todo lo que yo y muchos perdimos cuando entró esta compañía sin unión, quisiera que la ciudad garantizara que no volverá a pasar lo mismo a nadie más.
On behalf of myself and for all the workers who also lost these wages and benefits when the employers changed to a non-union, we would like, on behalf of those workers for the city, to guarantee that this won't happen again when these changes come.
Gracias y ojalá y nos escuchen y nos apoyen.
Thank you. I hope you hear us and you support us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Valenzuela?
Thank you. And I want to thank Maria and all of the members of USWW who took time away from work to be here tonight. In case it was missed in between the translations, Maria cleans city buildings. She was getting paid a salary that included healthcare benefits, and when we changed our practice of procurement to living wage, she lost those benefits, and she now works a second job. And many of the city people who clean city buildings have had similar experiences. So, and when I expressed interest, and I first want to thank staff because I gave you 7 changes and you made almost all of them. So first, thank you. I went way through the weeds in this ordinance, and I really appreciate the thoughtfulness of your responses. But I do want to push back on one change that was not included, which was the request to make sure that our future contractors are protecting the city from wage theft, and that we revert back to the prevailing wage for janitorial staff and for security officers who are represented by USWW. Andrew Gross-Gotten is in the hospital, and goodness knows, he's called me twice today, and I keep telling him, like, stop calling me Andrew, you're in the hospital. Like, you need to go take care of yourself, because this is how passionately he feels that this was an oversight on our part as a council, that the council has expressed repeatedly our interest in correcting this oversight, and that while it may feel, and I know staff says this is outside the scope of a procurement ordinance, I actually feel this is absolutely in scope. This is about, we've talked about aligning with local business, we've talked about greater transparency, we've talked about a lot of things in this ordinance, and I can't think of a better opportunity to correct what I believe is essentially a contracting and procurement policy change that needs to be made to ensure that janitors are receiving the adequate pay so that they can get the healthcare benefits and protections that they're entitled to. So I was hoping to make a motion tonight. I had a longer speech, but then Maria spoke, and I feel like that said everything that needs to be said. But I will just say that we can't do that, Christina, I'm sorry. But my move, I want to move this forward with including the outstanding changes around the janitor and security staff. There are responses that we can give about how this is really about just janitors and security staff. We're not intending this to apply to all property staff. I know one of staff's question is, what about the landscapers? What about the roofers? What about all of this other things? The intention for this is just to apply to janitorial staff and security staff, which are covered by SEIU, USWW. They have many people who are on contract and with them, including many local small minority-owned businesses. They include the largest disability employer in the country, Pride Industries, which I know also works with the city. So this isn't a matter of being exclusionary, and this is a matter of setting a high enough bar to ensure that we correct a mistake that I believe was made 14 years ago, and give the janitors back some of the wages and benefits that they were entitled to. So that is my motion, Mayor, to move this forward with the changes to the protecting us, my suggestions around the prevailing wage and protecting us from wage theft claims as a city.
Mayor, can I have Pete come up here and talk to this issue, and then I have a suggestion as well.
Thanks, Howard. So good evening, Mayor and Council. Pete Coletto, Finance Director. I have my procurement team who are the experts here. So just to give a little context, we wanted to, we brought forward an item to modernize our procurement code, clean up the code, add some administrative efficiencies, update thresholds, and we brought that to law and legislation. There were 7 proposed amendments, so we incorporated 5 of them. The one that Councilmember Valenzuela is talking about, we have concerns about. So our interpretation of the language as it's written, would require for all our contracts for property services to be awarded to contractors with the union labor agreement in place. And we want to be able to do a more thorough analysis and bring back the potential impacts that could have to law and legislation. And that's really a little bit outside of the scope of the modernization that we were.
Did Councilmember Valenzuela, though, say that her motion was intended to be limited to janitorial and security?
So I'm not sure if it can be. I don't know if city attorney wants to. The language as written would apply to all of the property services.
I understand, but the motion is to differentiate so that.
Well, I would ask the city attorney to.
So this is my suggestion, is that we move forward with the proposal before you, and then give staff an opportunity to analyze exactly what the councilman was asking for. We can bring back those any implications to the current ordinance for this council to vote on.
How quickly?
Next
It's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
or it's a month after that. So, I mean, I will just say, and I appreciate staff's concerns with this, I really do. I want to say that this was prior practice, to my understanding, when it comes to the wages, that we changed it in 2010, which is what removed the healthcare. And yes, the wage theft is something that is new practice for the city, but that this council passed a resolution in 2020 declaring our intention to do that moving forward. So all I'm asking is that those be reflected in this procurement ordinance, and that is really, and it's in a policy decision. I understand that there's financial implications here, but essentially it also comes down to a policy decision. If we were okay with janitors who clean our buildings and keep us safe not getting health care, then that is a policy decision we can make. But I will leave it there. I know my colleague is also punched up as well. So,
Lainey Milstein, Assistant City Manager. I'd like to just set the record straight. In 2010, council said not a prevailing wage, but a living wage. A living wage provides a base salary of $18.50 an hour plus $7 and some 47 cents to purchase benefits. So everybody has the opportunity to purchase benefits. So nobody can go without benefits. Council approved that
But it
in
is about
2010.
affordability.
That's absolutely correct. And as the city manager mentioned, we would like to go back and complete a full analysis on this proposal so that everybody understands what it is that we're asking them to vote on.
So I think it's reasonable to have the staff analysis, but not if it's going to be a long, long time. In other words, so let's agree on a date. That's what I want to agree
When's
on.
the next L&L?
I mean, I'm okay as not coming back to L&L again. This was a part of our motion at L&L already. So we can come back to council ideally in like no more than a couple weeks. I mean.
Okay?
Yeah.
Couple of weeks?
Is there a rush on this? Could we bring it back?
What's that?
Is there a timeline constraint on this?
No, I don't think there's a
We just
week
don't wanna-
timeline.
Just want
I just don't want to wait 6 weeks.
How about two, but
Oh, no.
A week,
2 to 3
2 to 3 weeks. we
I'll
could do.
give you an
2 to 3
example of why
weeks.
this is important. So one of the items in it, it was the bidding for the newspaper. And if we had had the ability to have a multi-year contract for the newspaper, it's an item you wouldn't have seen on your agenda. So we're trying to be more efficient to lessen the items that you see, to lessen workload on staff. I think June 11, simply because there's no June 4 meeting, which would be 2 weeks from now.
Okay, 2 weeks.
Or 20.
Okay, let's have this, is that okay, Councilmember Valenzuela? Okay, Eric's punched up, and Marbella Sala, I think we didn't get on the public testimony. On this item? Oh, okay, on item 3. We already voted on it. Sorry. Okay, we'll get you. Go ahead, Councilman Guetta.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll go ahead and second that motion. I was prepared to second the prior motion here, but I will say, that I'm a little frustrated that we're back at this question again. We had this conversation back in 2020, I think it was, and we tried to resolve this prior, and I had proposed some language in 2019 to deal with the unfortunate situation that our janitors and security workers fall themselves in. When we moved from to a living wage, from prevailing wage to a living wage was because the Department of Industrial Relations at the state level, where we were using to tag on to the wage, was not updating their standard. And so our workers were falling further and further and further behind. So we changed that as a policy factor, as a policy matter, and I can't remember who in 2019 was still here in finance that was here at the time when that happened the first time. But their discussion was that it was intended to try to right-size it. So I don't want us to get overly complicated here, because what we need to do, and what the labor code said, 238.5, doesn't, for whatever was said there, does not mandate that it be union work. It sets the safeguards that need to happen. Now, if there are contractors who don't comply with those safeguards, and they're not, and it happens to be that only union members are, then there's a problem with those contractors that don't have those safeguards for workers. So, we had this debate in 2020, and we tried to attempt to address that contract by one contract, but I feel that we're falling back in the same loop again. So I'm happy to second the motion to come back in June 11th, but we should try to figure out how to end this conversation and continue to work on the progression of right-sizing them. The last piece, and I don't know how this gets resolved, but it is a travesty when we go out for bid, and what has happened is that these are good workers, and because of it, when another person wins a bid, those workers get hired on, most of them stay, and they stay working here. But what has happened, and you heard today, is they lose their vacation accrual, they lose their sick leave accrual, and if something occurs, and they might as well have been a city employee, but if something occurs where they have long-term sick leave, they've lost that. And they don't accrue much vacation, but if they did want to, say, go visit their family, and some of us do, say, in Mexico for a few weeks, they've lost that. So I don't know how in this process we look at our procurement practices to protect that. Some of that is governed by the state labor code and contracting, but that needs to be addressed because it is not fair for the workers who build up that vacation that they've earned. The courts have also said that your vacation hours are vacation hours that you earn. So being able to transfer those is important. And the forced cash out, unfortunately for some of them, is also a tax hit for them. So I think we need to make sure that we address those issues. So I will say that, thank you, Councilmember Valenzuela, for bringing this issue up. I know it's been in law and legend. It's been a while since it got here, but I do think that we need to end that debate that we've had over and over again over a very small population and with this very small budget in our area. So
we're going to resolve this in a couple of weeks, in 2 weeks, and we do our best to do right by the workers. So go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank you. And I think you were absent from that meeting because I think you were ill, or I can't remember if you were traveling. And so we didn't get a chance to talk about it in depth. But I mean, thank you for reminding the history, because it's like that was the goal here. It was to codify what the council had started doing in 2020 in a code so that we didn't have to keep having this debate every contract. I will say to staff that the votes are up here. And so whatever analysis you bring back, I hope is one aimed at implementation and what you might need to make this work. Because I don't believe that any of us are interested in continuing to see this injustice or continuing, as my colleague very eloquently said, having this circular debate over and over again, when our intention is to make sure that every single worker who cleans and guards our buildings has a safe and prevailing wage, so, and the benefits they're entitled to. So 2 weeks is the idea, right, Mayor, not June 11th? I just want to
2 weeks.
Okay. So that's the motion, is to pass this with a direction to staff to come back in 2 weeks with a correction to the wage theft and the prevailing wage direction that was provided at L&L.
Well, to be clear, we're going to provide this council with enough information to make that decision.
Right.
Sure. But we are going to vote on it in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yes.
Maybe
Thank
so.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
No, we said 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We're going to have, is there a meeting in 2 weeks?
Yes.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So that, we don't need a motion to continue, do we? Or we can just,
June 28th might be a very difficult day from what's going to be agendized in that May 28th. Yeah, that's in 2 weeks. So, and I don't want them sitting here for a long hearing because we might have a very long meeting from an item that I have coming here in appeal. So, could we do? Yeah. So. June 4th is when we finish the budget? June 11th, okay, but do we have a meeting June 4th? Okay.
okay, how about no later than June 11th, and we will work this out, okay? No later than.
Yeah, just the
Okay.
28th is going to be a very
Okay,
tough.
what is it? Okay. Okay, oh yeah, all right. Now we go to, we're going to vote on the current without the amendment. Okay, and that's been moved by Councilmember Valenzuela.
The motion was direction to staff to bring it back. So approve this
Yes.
with the direction to staff to bring it back no later than June 11th.
Correct.
For us to vote on the professional services.
Second by
contracts.
Councilmember Guerra. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, oppose, abstain. Okay. Now we move to the public hearings. Item 5.
Good evening, Mayor Steinberg, Council. I'm Peter Lemos, Code and Housing Enforcement Chief. I would like to Bring item 5 and item 6 to you concurrently for a separate vote. The items before you are the neighborhood code compliance and housing and dangerous buildings case fees and penalties for special assessment. Item 5, the housing and dangerous case fees staff report lists an amended total of 130 properties with a total of $100,295.32 of unpaid fees scheduled for liens against the properties. 4 properties listed in this exhibit have been removed and identified as numbers 10 through 12, 128, and 184. For item number 6, the Community Development Department administrative penalties and neighborhood code compliance case fees reports listed an amended total of 366 properties with a sum of $742,681.16 of unpaid fees, penalties scheduled for special assessment and or personal obligations listed against the property. 13 properties enlisted in Exhibit A that you have been removed from the report, and they are identified as line items 1 and 2, 19, 34, 35, 82, 84, 125, 240, 418, 567, 565, 602, 628, and 655 and 656. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt the 2 resolutions separately as amended to allow the city to collect the unpaid fees by placing special assessments, levies, and or personal obligations against these properties. That concludes my presentation.
All right, I have only one speaker on item 5. Zach Worthy.
People, this is what we try to show you about everything around housing and race. Dangers and the people in this, we'd like to know what area that is and what type of income those people have. Now, there's a situation that a person can put a lien against a house, and then you got the public can go over to the courthouse and purchase that lien, which enjoy a 9% interest on it. Now, you can tell these people that, or is it that a little Asian girl talked to me in a Jeep that they're trying to take her property. And I told you, get you an attorney. All type of things they wrote up against her. But I hadn't seen her come back in here. I said, get you an attorney to show that, because if your house in an area that they wanted, they will have every type of complaint there is, because there's an old Mexican guy near City College. Every time he turned around, they had a complaint against him. Mendoza was his name. We don't know what went down, but you treat people like cats and dogs when they don't have the income. Then you come in, you want fees raised. Tell them how to get by that. Even people got a house and it's in a bad shape with the bank. You can get a person to catch that deed with a quitclaim deed. See, let's just say, education across the board is very, very bad here, and this city is not helping them. They're always talking about race and housing, but you're going to fall on your face with race and housing, because I'm going to be in court when it comes down and hope Trump get back in and go centuries of what you've been lying about.
Thank you for your comments. Vice Mayor, I have no more speakers.
All right, and so we'll be taking item 5 and 6 separately for a vote. Moving it over to my colleagues.
I'll open and close the public hearing and move the item.
All right, for item number 5.
As amended. Thank you.
Item number 5. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? That passes unanimously. All right. Sir?
Open and close public hearing on item number 6.
Yep.
Move the item.
Motion. And a second. All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, abstentions? That passes unanimously. All right, colleagues, moving on to our discussion calendar. Item number 7, our existing building electrification strategy for a presentation. Welcome.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Laura Teller, and I'm an Associate Planner from the Community Development Department. I'm joined by several colleagues from the city, including Senior Planner Vic Randall, and also by Eric Crane from SMUD. We're pleased to present our final draft existing building electrification strategy for your consideration tonight. In my presentation, I'll review the background of our electrification work, including its grounding in the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, and give a summary of our strategy development process. I'll also share the core policies in our final draft strategy and notable revisions made to the strategy following our public review period. I'll touch on our implementation timeline and near-term next steps, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have. As you all know, in February 2024, we adopted a Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, or CAP, which charts the city's course to carbon neutrality by 2045. The CAP includes 5 measures related to the built environment, including Measure E1, support SMUD as it implements the 2030 Zero Carbon Plan, Measure E2, electrification of new construction, and Measure E3, transition natural gas in existing buildings to carbon-free electricity by 2045. Development of the existing building electrification strategy is implementing action E3.1 in the CAP. Electrification of buildings is an essential step to reaching the city's goal of carbon neutrality by 2045. SMUD's plan to produce zero carbon electricity by 2030 underpins our work on electrification. Transitioning buildings from gas use to electricity reduces and will eventually eliminate carbon emissions from buildings. The core focus of our presentation tonight is on the existing building electrification strategy. However, we also wanted to give you an update on the status of our new building electrification ordinance. City Council adopted the new building electrification ordinance in June 2021, and it went into effect for buildings 3 stories or less in January 2023. Sacramento paused enforcement of the ordinance in April 2023 due to a decision from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which found the City of Berkeley's ordinance banning gas infrastructure was preempted by the Federal Energy Policy and Conservation Act. In March 2024, Berkeley settled the case with the California Restaurant Association and agreed to repeal their ordinance. This decision impacts all other cities with similar ordinances in the Ninth Circuit, including Sacramento. CAP Measure E2 includes an implementing action to develop and adopt a new ordinance in accordance with applicable laws and regulations, which staff recommend aligning with the adoption of the 2025 California Building Standards Code to be effective January 1st, 2026. All electric new construction is generally cost-effective in Sacramento and typically yields ongoing lower utility costs and improved indoor air quality for occupants. Staff received initial direction from Council to develop an existing building electrification strategy in June 2021. We kicked off our project in February 2022, and our work took place in 3 main phases. The first phase included community engagement to develop a set of equity and effectiveness criteria, as well as analysis of our building stock. Phase 2 included policy development, deployment of our energy modeling platform Zero Home, and community engagement to get feedback on core policy ideas. In August, we released a draft of the strategy for extended public review. Our comment period closed in January 2024, and staff have revised the strategy based on public input, state direction, evolving legal context, as well as additional analysis. On April 11th, we took the revised strategy to Planning and Design Commission, which passed a unanimous motion recommending the strategy to City Council for adoption. When City Council adopted a resolution directing staff to develop an existing building electrification strategy, one of the core objectives was for the strategy to be centered in equity. To advance this objective, we worked with community members to develop a set of equity criteria to guide the strategy development process. The goal of our existing building electrification strategy is to advance the health, safety, comfort, climate, and economic benefits of electrification for all people in Sacramento. Our equity criteria include affordable and reliable energy, working to make installation of equipment easy and affordable, identifying opportunities for holistic building improvements, and culturally competent outreach and education. Our strategy will also support city and regional efforts to avoid displacement for households and businesses, prioritize low-income and under-resourced communities and small businesses, and support the just transition of our workforce and promote high-quality green job opportunities. Our policies and actions also need to be effective, so we developed a set of effectiveness criteria which are outlined on the right. The equity and effectiveness criteria were main drivers in selection of core policies and supportive actions, which I'll cover in a moment. As part of our analysis, we worked with Vistar Energy to conduct energy modeling of our buildings in Sacramento. The goals of this modeling exercise were twofold: to get an understanding of how different buildings in the city use energy and to project the utility bill impact of electrification. As you can see from this graph, all building types, single-unit residential buildings are the largest users of gas, with 62% of gas use in the city coming from these buildings. As I mentioned, the second goal of our modeling exercise was to project utility bill impact of electrification, specifically of space and water heating appliances. These results were very encouraging, showing immediate utility bill savings in 100% of single-unit homes when electrifying furnaces and water heaters. Since this analysis was completed in 2022, utility rates for both gas and electricity have increased. However, rate increases for gas have far outpaced that for electricity, resulting in a projected increased cost effectiveness for electrification. Before we cover our policies and actions, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what we're talking about when we say electrification. Building electrification means replacing gas appliances in our homes, workplaces, and other buildings with energy-efficient electric appliances. Common gas appliances are furnaces for space heating, water heaters, stoves, and clothes dryers, and there are energy-efficient, high-performance electric appliances available for all these uses. When we talk about these retrofits, one of the key concerns we hear is upfront cost. Replacing these systems in a home or business, regardless of fuel type, can be some of the biggest maintenance costs for building owners. However, we're in a very unique moment for electrification, with significant investments at the local, state, and federal level to help reduce upfront costs in electrification and help folks in Sacramento realize ongoing benefits. This slide gives you a high-level look at available incentives, which include upfront rebates from SMUD and the state of California through the Tech Clean California program, as well as a range of federal tax credits made available through the Inflation Reduction Act. The existing building electrification strategy identifies core policies for single-unit residential and small multi-unit residential buildings, as well as commercial non-residential, and large multi-unit residential buildings. The policies here reflect the revised draft. I want to highlight notable changes made between the public review and final drafts as we move through these slides. For single-unit and small multi-unit residential buildings, staff recommend the following policies. As I mentioned, we are evaluating options for a replacement ordinance for new construction, which would be a REACH code through the Energy Code. In addition, the strategy recommends developing and adopting a REACH code requiring certain additions and remodels to also exceed the state building energy efficiency standards. This ordinance approach complies with federal requirements and aligns with our upcoming efforts for new buildings. The strategy also recommends adopting an ordinance requiring that main service panel replacements demonstrate capacity for and reservation of breaker space to accommodate future full home electrification. This recommendation was added based on public input. We have also been tracking the development of the 2025 California Building Standards Code update, the draft of which indicates the intent to include a prescriptive pathway for central air conditioners to be replaced with heat pumps, with some exceptions, in the voluntary measures section, section 11 of the code. If this moves forward, staff recommend adopting this measure of Cal Green as a local ordinance. On the commercial building side, the strategy recommends development and adoption of a benchmarking and building performance standards program with a recommended size threshold of 50,000 square feet and larger. This size threshold was revised following the public review draft from 25,000 to 50,000 square feet based on additional analysis, which showed that of large commercial non-residential and multi-unit residential buildings, those 50,000 square feet and larger use over 90% of total energy. This size threshold allows the city to maximize potential greenhouse gas emission reduction benefit while reducing administrative costs of implementing a building performance standards program. In addition, the strategy recommends support of a code update, which will include a prescriptive pathway for rooftop package HVAC units below a certain size threshold to be replaced with heat pumps. This has been included in the mandatory measures section of the draft 2025 building code. And finally, the strategy recommends the city adopt a standalone industrial decarbonization strategy to support the cost-effective decarbonization of process loads in Sacramento's industrial and manufacturing sector. This recommendation was added based on staff analysis and discussions with members of Sacramento's industrial community. The strategy does not contemplate any prescriptive requirements of electrification for cooking equipment in either residential or commercial buildings. In addition to core policies, the strategy outlines a range of supportive actions. Supportive actions center on the equity criteria I described earlier in the presentation. In addition, we have a range of foundational actions to support electrification more broadly. These include advocacy actions to enable future neighborhood-scale electrification and decommissioning of gas infrastructure, education and information sharing actions, and actions to improve our permit data collection and to better track our progress. We've revised and added to these supportive actions based on public input received during our comment period. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the work of our colleagues in the Office of Climate Action and Sustainability, both past and present. They have been fantastic thought partners in the development of the strategy and will be leading implementation on a number of actions. Our work on existing building electrification is fundamental to meeting our local climate goals. I also want to highlight that we formulated these recommendations within the context of a range of related efforts underway by state agencies and SMUD, which support building decarbonization. SMUD provides affordable and reliable electricity along with incentives to facilitate the switch to electric appliances. The California Building Standards Commission works on developing the California Building Standards Code and the Cal Green Code. The California Public Utilities Commission supports building decarbonization through infrastructure planning, elimination of subsidies for gas line extensions, and consumer education. The California Energy Commission updates the Energy Code, runs incentive programs, and operates the forthcoming Equitable Building Decarbonization Direct Install Program. Additionally, the California Air Resources Board plans to enforce a zero greenhouse gas emission standard for space and water heating appliances by 2030. By moving forward with our existing building electrification strategy, Sacramento can leverage this state action to ensure Sacramento is a leader in the clean energy transition. In closing, staff recommend that Council adopt the existing building electrification strategy this evening. Following adoption of the strategy, we anticipate using the balance of 2024 to build partnerships and establish our ordinance pathways and to implement near-term supporting actions. In 2025 and 26, we anticipate developing, adopting, and implementing ordinances in alignment with the 2025 California Building Standards Code. We will revisit the strategy as we scope the next update to our Climate Action and Adaptation Plan and continue to adapt based on changes in regulations, technology, and cost effectiveness of electrification. We're happy to answer any questions and incorporate any additional direction that Council might have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, very comprehensive, appreciate it. Let's take the public testimony.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 3 speakers on this item. Rosie Yakub, Mac Worthy, then Marbella Sala.
Good evening, Council. My name is Rosie Yakub. I am a volunteer with 350 Sacramento, and I'm happy to see this finally getting here. We'd like to acknowledge that staff have been great at implementing or adding some of the suggestions that we've had in the past, and we're excited to see this policy go forward generally. But we also think that we should push whenever we can to go a little bit earlier. Any gas stoves, heaters installed in homes in January 2025 will be near the end of their life at 2040. And the city is committed to doing whatever they can to get as much decarbonization happening by 2030. So we're asking for the development phase to be expanded from 2024 to 2026, and the implementation phase be brought a little earlier, 2025, 2029. And not tied to following Cal Green. Let's see. Also, we'd like, and the reason for that is we would actually like to see an HVAC ordinance worked on ahead of Cal Green. There are pathways that are already identified in the draft and could be brought sooner. It's an unnecessary delay. We also feel that water heating should be included in this, and because it represents a substantial portion of the greenhouse gases. And finally, since I only have 13 seconds, I just want to address the EPCA thing and new building electrification. We feel that staff should actually move forward with this, which will involve getting in touch with SMUD.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Mac Worthy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mac Worthy, then Marbella Sala.
We wonder how many people attended these public meeting knew anything about DC current and gas. Now, this is something that is gonna be a bubble. Did they test the 60-gallon tank cost for against the electric tank for 180 degrees Fahrenheit? Never was tested. Now, when you go in a house, an 8-foot ceiling and a 10-foot ceiling, what is the cost and the difference to heat that house? That house would be cheaper because 8-foot is lower, and every time you open the door, the computer go off. 10-foot, you got this much heat hanging if it's insulated properly. Those things never come up. You know, these are the things that you got to understand. People that attend these hearings that you call and attend, they don't ask you no questions because they had never experienced anything. How's the electricity? DC current. And with the city owning SMUD, you're going to see this thing skyrocket. You will never get to know climate control because God's universe will do what they want to do. And you tell the people the truth. All you got to do is tell the truth and deal with the people. And the cost to change from a hot electric heater to a hot water heater, this is all about China's money and electrical. This is all it's about, people. And people going to suffer in this state behind the money that they have to pay back China for moving to the electrical. If we get Trump in, you might see a different thing. But when you got a drug addict in the White House, you will always see costs and lies.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Marbella Sala.
Good afternoon. I got it right this time.
Hi, Marbella.
I'm really happy to see that this program and policy is going forward, but I wanted to share with you, 2 years ago, GNNA with SMUD and the Community Resource Project started a pilot program in Gardenland in helping those homes, they're very old homes, convert from gas to electricity. They didn't give up their gas stoves, but they were willing to have, they had no old air conditionings that didn't work, broken windows, no insulation, very old water heaters. And because of the partnership that we had, 33 homes received all of that, including refrigerators that were older than 10 years, for free. And that would have not happened without that partnership. So as this goes forward, and I saw in the policy that you are addressing inequities and those that can't afford it, keep that in mind, because incentive programs, that's great, but for this community, that would have not worked, and 33 homes benefited from such a program. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
All right, thank you. Let's turn it over to the City Council. Councilmember Valenzuela.
Thank you. And thank you, staff, for your work on bringing this forward. I know I've mentioned before that part of what I get to do in my day job is facilitate coalitions, and one of those is a statewide coalition of environmental justice groups working on equitable building decarbonization. So I always keep my paid work very separate from my city work, but there's been a little bit of cross-pollination of like, tell CEC this. Anyways, so I want to thank you for the process you've gone through here, because I think where Sacramento is at is where a lot of jurisdictions are at right now, and I just want to recognize that these key challenges that have been named, that like Marbella just said, some households can't wait for rebates, you know, some households, some neighborhoods might need transformer upgrades or other infrastructure upgrades. If your house was built before the 1970s, you probably need other upgrades, or things might be wrong. You might have asbestos in your wall, you might have lead in your paint, and you can't just come in and start moving things around in there. And I think the model that the pilots are showing is possible in Sacramento is really something that I'm glad to see us continue to lean into, because there is so much to be learned from the work and the success of something like the Garden Lamp pilot, which is so instructive for not just the method of bringing in weatherization and appliances, but also the partnership with communities who should be paid, Marbella, when you do that. Next time, ask SMUD to pay you. You should get paid paid for that. But I think building that into a model so that we can figure out what scale looks like, because in context, you have several bills of the legislature on this. You have the CECs got their equitable and decarb program, and existing pilots are eligible. We've confirmed this, so I hope you apply. The Air Resources Board has their rulemaking that our colleague, Councilmember Guerra, is working on, and we're engaging in all of these things because we're trying to figure out that question of not just what does it look like from the state level, but how do you create flexibility at the local level to do it the way it needs to be done, because every city, every community experiences energy so different. And I guess I will just say that in general, I'm really excited to see the advocacy stuff you've named in here. I'm happy to see, I hope that gets included in our Gov Affairs agenda for next year. So I hope you translate that to Consuelo if you haven't already, so that the city can actually take formal positions on these things if we haven't already. And I will just leave a note that electrify, none of these great goals for this program, like jobs and reduce energy bills, happen without intentional design. And that's something that we've seen over and over and over again. And electrify and replacement doesn't get us there, because when you don't have a water heater, you need one pretty quickly, because you can't, heat water. So I think there's a lot of really great thought being put into this, and I appreciate the measured approach you've all taken. And I'll just say in the end, don't forget about the renters. I know a lot of the pilots, talking to SMUD, are skipping tenant-owned households, and in part they're doing that out of the sensitivity that we've named, which is that tenants are incredibly at risk of displacement from large renovations or rent increases from large renovations. But essentially what we're doing to try to minimize that harm is sometimes skipping them. And so I think that's something that we just continue to lift up, the intersection between a robust tenant protection program and successful implementation of something like this, so everybody can actually get access in the long run. But those are my comments, and happy to move this item forward as it is. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan?
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to thank staff for a thorough report, as well as the outreach of meeting with all the stakeholders, hosting meetings, numerous conversations, and taking the feedback on this. I think, I want to say it out loud while we've said it, but a common theme in this is, while we recognize moving forward and protecting our environment, it's being very honest in how do we protect our mom and pop businesses and residences who may be least able to afford this. As we discuss some of these policies, are we looking at and trying to figure out ways where we can post or show that there are rebates or incentives as we make this transition? I know our city, and we have grant people, there may be things that we can post on a website or something that says, if you're interested, look here for different grants and incentives. Might be helpful, because I know part of it is truly educating and how we do that outreach to the community who just may not know what is out there. During one of the questions I have is, during the consultant interviews with 5 energy engineers and facility managers working on large decarbonization, all interviewees communicated larger buildings are more complicated to electrify. How are we working with them on that?
Yeah, so I think that's the proposal in the strategy, is to adopt a benchmarking and building performance standards program for very large commercial buildings. And really, I think one of the foundational goals of that program is, number one, to connect with those building owners, because it can be very challenging to reach building owners, particularly of commercial buildings. And that the sort of benchmarking phase of that is really to collect information on how those buildings are using energy, what types of equipment they have in their buildings, and then really the hope with a building performance standard program is to offer that technical assistance to help building owners make, again, cost-effective upgrades when it makes sense for their business and their building. Because what we found out from those interviews was just that, an office building operates very differently than a retail space, which operates very differently than a multi-unit residential building. And so having this flexible approach, which is really like performance-based rather than that sort of prescriptive approach, I think is really important. So I think a huge part of that lift for a building performance standards program is to, again, connect with building owners and offer that technical assistance. We are, I don't know, do you want to speak to the applying for considering applying.
Yeah, and just, so Laura's noting that we are currently looking for into federal funding that would support the development of a building performance standards program, presuming that we would get council's direction to move in that direction tonight.
And thank you for that. Are we also looking at, because I think this is, some people have done it, and it's a great unknown to a certain extent, even with residential, providing scenarios of sample of what it may cost so that somebody actually understands, oh, it may cost this much, because I also know restaurants, there may be a rebate for $14,000, but to do this may cost $250,000. And providing that understanding of what is the parameter and the estimate and the cost.
Yeah, I think it's something we've had on our minds a lot. We did attempt a cost study for residential in the strategy, and I think one of the things we learned is it is a challenging thing to keep up to date. There's really wide variation in prices that you get from contractors. I think really part of the key work is really also informing residents and building owners about sort of sound practice when it comes to looking for contractors to do this work and having as much information out there as possible. But yeah, I think that's something that we will be looking into. I think there's again a hesitation around, I think we were talking to our colleagues with SMUD the other day, and they were saying sort of that if you've seen one electrification project, you've seen one electrification project, that there are these like unique situations, especially in older buildings. But again, those pilots I think are super important, really learning from those experiences and trying to be transparent about costs. We've learned a lot. I think the tech program publishes their cost information, which is very helpful, really seeing what those real costs were for folks in Sacramento County, and that's how we updated our cost estimates. But I think that is valuable perspective.
Yeah, and I'm all for, always putting in a caveat, because, it may change 5, 10, 15%, but I think that also brings up many people are not sophisticated in dealing with contractors. So do we even have these are the questions you may want to ask, because I think that's also very helpful, because it can be very intimidating. Like even where do you look up to see if the contractor has a valid license? Linking that I think is important. I could say it because I think my husband and I have gotten 6 estimates for upgrading our kitchen, and they're wildly crazy in the delta in between. So that help? Are we looking at that?
Absolutely, yeah. I think one of the sort of key early implementation actions is really like continuing to improve the resources that we have available to our members, both in a variety of channels. And I think one thing Councilmember Valenzuela brought up was, reaching tenant-owned properties. We've been coordinating with our rental housing inspection program to try to figure out some avenues for sharing information about available incentives and, again, process of electrification for those properties. And I think continuing to collaborate with our building division on, the best points of intervention in really getting the word out. But I think it's on our short list for implementation really to continue to improve those educational resources.
And I think it bears stating you are small but mighty. And with budget cuts, I think it's important that we have to be really understanding with staff time and our available resources, because one of the concerns I have and businesses have expressed is the impact on the implementation timeline in light of our budget deficit. And there are other jurisdictions that are experiencing the same things, but they also typically have, 4, 5, 6, 7 full-time employees working on this, and I know that is not necessarily in our budget. So I want to be realistic. While these are, this is the impact of our budget cuts, because any potential new people you have been swept in the vacancy, and how can we fully implement this and do it in a way that is very thoughtful but also mindful of impacts, because we do have those budget cuts going on. Because I'm all for this, but I also understand there's only so much capability with our employees, and just being mindful of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to our city staff for such a electrifying presentation. And it's really
don't steal my joke.
It's given us the ability to just charge ahead, Now, we did encounter some resistance from the federal courts, you know. And it unfortunately pulled the plug on the mandate.
He's been working on this for a while.
Yeah, he's been working on it.
But I do want to say that that we've already seen the successes of this program, and in my own council district, I can name 3 projects that are already have agreed to go in this direction, have gone in this direction. Mercy Housing, that's got 200 units, all electric, moving in. They've seen the ability for not only cost reductions, but also the simplicity in looking at how do you better reduce the amount of potential things that could go wrong when you're managing a multifamily housing unit. In the single-family space, Habitat for Humanity has done a project over off of Power Inn in the South area that has also gone all electric as well. And with the number of products that are coming out, it's giving people more options also to what they could use in the home. And I want to recognize Mutual Housing also because they also are moving in that direction for another multifamily housing space. And so, I think that one benefit that we clearly have in Sacramento County, and I think our city has really, led the way here to make sure that, I think Councilmember Kaplan's point, other cities that are smaller in size than us may not have the staff, but we're setting the case that we should, and that we can, and as we move forward, that the ability is there for all of us to participate in ways for less of a demand from the natural gas plant, from SMUD, to be able to provide, that level of emissions, right? So we don't need any more emissions when we can, move away from the old gas, dryer. And even in my own hometown in Mexico, they're moving towards the electric water heaters because the unreliability sometimes of propane and sometimes of natural gas. So this is, I think, an opportunity for us to be able to really provide direction for how we can better address our air quality issues here locally, and be innovative about it as well. So my mother-in-law also, purchased an induction stove, and it's interesting to see how, it takes, like anything, you learn how to use something differently, but once you get used to it, just clearly the benefits that are coming with new technology and the conversations we're having today in the next 10 years, I think are going to be completely different about what options there are for folks. So I just wanted to say thank you for the work that's been done. One thing that I do want to make sure that while this in the home setting and the office setting is one thing, on the industrial setting, it's a much different situation. So we still use it for different manufacturing practices. I know that the industrial community is looking at ways to try to reduce their utility costs and any reliability questions. So we, I think, need to make sure that we're working with the industrial community, particularly since manufacturing was a stable employment source as well during the pandemic that has been able to also withstand even when we've had the great recessions. So I think making sure that we're working with the industrial community as we make the strategy forward on not only how we make sure that we don't create a disincentive to expand those good manufacturing jobs here in the area, but is there a way for us to assist and help them in reducing their overall utility costs through this process that becomes much more attractive to come here? And so that, I think, is an exciting part that needs to be part of this. And so I'll put that as more of a direction than any change of the motion. I know that you have been in conversations with a lot of the industrial partners because they are looking at innovative ways to addressing this issue. So with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to recognize your work on the Climate Commission that sparked a lot of this conversation. And, with that, and, no need to turn the lights off on it.
Oh, man, I'm not even going to try to, no way. But excellent. Mike Jasser reminds me that Aggie Square is going to be 100% electric as well. So, it's interesting because I always think that, well, at least I do, that you know, government's got to provide incentives, we got to fund this. But in some ways, this is where the market and the world is going for the right reasons, but also out of self-interest in the bottom line. And that's a good thing. It's a great thing. But our laying this foundation, as you recommend, I think is wise and important. So is this a action item tonight? Let's get a motion and a second then. It's been moved and seconded. I apologize. Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain. That passes. Thank you. Good work. So now we get to the Sacramento Police Commission's annual report. Let me start by saying that this was an item originally on this consent calendar, in the way that the council process has changed over the last couple of years, is that we've asked the P&PE committee to hold full hearings on the work plans, prospective work plans, for all of the city commissions, not just one, but all the city commissions. And then the full council it comes to the full council as a consent item for approval. Knowing that this is an item of significant interest, this was instead agendized as a discussion item. I know Councilmember Valenzuela has a number of questions that I think will help the current chair of the commission get into it and get into the detail here. And that would be the way I prefer to proceed here, so that the council can hear this and hopefully approve the work plan. Ms. Kaplan, you want to add anything? Councilmember Kaplan, you're the chair of P&P.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to preface kind of something that I've said at PMPE, and really appreciate you starting that off, is the annual work plans come through and get a full hearing, and we review, give some feedback. Work plans come to council to basically receive and file. The process after that is for council members, commissioners to work with either their appointed council member, if they get adopted through PMPE, to work with the mayor, who is their representative, to then start the process of bring an item, be it put it in, it goes through law and ledge, or budget and audit, so that we know, especially if it relates to changing policies. So we did hear fully their recommendations. PMPE did give comments in regards to they wanted to organize additional community meetings, which we agreed was outside their scope, and asked them to limit it back to the MEU forms in that regard. So this tonight is a receive and file. Of their goals that they did present.
It's actually an action item to approve. That's what the agenda says. It is.
Oh, to approve the
Commission's work plan.
Work plan, but it doesn't mean we're adopting the work plan. It means we're receiving, because that's what we've done with each work plan. It hasn't been adopted for the council to implement. I think we need to make very clear that each item on the 2024 work plan, each board and commission, or otherwise we'd be moving forward with the active transportation, 9 million.
No. We're not necessarily accepting the recommendations out of the work plan, but the work plan itself is the guide for the commission to do their work.
Yes,
exactly.
I just want to make sure we're okay on agreeing with the terminology of what that means. It doesn't mean we're saying, we as council are approving the implementation of the changes that we want. So I just want to, and then I do know, and was brought up, they have requested a joint workshop. Is that going to be happening? Because I think some of their concerns may be addressed in the joint workshop.
So this is something that the mayor, myself, and several council members have been.
And it was already approved and considered by law and legislation.
Okay, so there will be a workshop, yes. We just have to schedule it, yes.
Which I think, that is a time, because then staff comes to present, where we can fully discuss dedicated staffing for the commission, which I know is a big issue. So I just want to clarify, there may be presented tonight their work plan, but I think some of the items where we may have questions, and that we've all had questions on the police commission, may be better suited for allowing presentation on both sides, for the council to have all the information before we weigh into that.
So Councilmember Valenzuela, I know that you were the one who wanted this heard as a full public discussion. I don't have any issue with that. But how do you suggest we proceed here tonight?
First, I'd love to just move approval of the proposed work plan with the removal of a homelessness workshop from the proposed scope of work.
Okay. Well, that's a good start.
Just out the gate. Because that was, I think, traffic safety and traffic enforcement was one of the topics, as well as the MEU. I don't know if anybody wants to second that. Thank you.
Second. Okay.
So it's an interesting moment we're in right now. I'm improving on the spot, which I don't normally like to do. So I know at Law and Ledge, we've heard, and thanks to Councilmember Jennings for bringing forward the idea of a joint workshop, because there are big picture questions here around scope, around staffing, and particularly around recommendations, because we have here before us a commission whose job and code is to provide recommendations to the council, but whose recommendations aren't actually being considered by the council. And so there's this interesting, push and pull in the code of there's a bunch of recommendations in here. Some of them PD's been able to respond to, some of them they haven't yet. And there's this huge backlog that just continues to accumulate. So I guess that might be my first question for the chair. Is could you give us a broad scope of where you're at with your recommendations from prior years and this current year, what sort of the status is of the work you've all been doing?
Councilmember, I'm happy to provide that overview here. It was part of my presentation to really go through and just break down, because this was the first set of recommendations that we've actually been able to formally evaluate based on our discussions with the police department. But I have to say that I'm here to present a complex annual report that runs 196 pages. And I had a PowerPoint presentation to make it accessible, not just for you all on City Council, but also the community watching today, who we are tasked with engaging in city policing, in reviewing city policing policies, practices, and procedures. So I'd like to request, the PowerPoint slides that I shared earlier be presented?
So how long is your PowerPoint, Mr. Bliss?
16 slides.
And you're saying that if you're not able to present the PowerPoint, you might go through a lengthy 100+ page explanation of your recommendations? Is that part of what you're saying?
I am here to be available to answer questions. The most important priority right now is to get our work plan approved, being that it's May.
Why don't you, I'd ask you to take 10 minutes and go through the PowerPoint.
10 minutes to go through the PowerPoint.
Please.
All right, then. I will do my best. Thank you, City Council, for taking the time to listen, to hear us today and have this on the discussion calendar. So the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission was established in November 2016 to provide community participation in reviewing and recommending police department policies, practices, and procedures, and monitoring the implementation, evaluation, and sustainability of city policing initiatives and programs under Sacramento City Code Section 2.110. To fulfill our responsibilities, the Commission monitors and evaluates the city's policing initiatives and programs. Historically, the Commission has met publicly about 10 times a year, with public meetings usually ranging from 1 to 3 hours. Much of our work has been completed between these meetings, previously in ad hoc committees, and currently in working groups of less than a quorum of commissioners. To summarize our 2023 activities, we completed a review of the Sacramento Police Department's military equipment uses and policy changes from 2022. We evaluated the department's response to our recommendations from 2018 and 2019, and we reviewed the Sacramento Police Department's search and seizure policies and the 2023 audit conducted by the Office of Public Safety Accountability, or OPSA. We also produced our recommendations for 2023, which includes policies and best practices related to military equipment use based on the community feedback, search and seizure policies in alignment with the OPSA audit, and accountability and organizational culture. So on September 13th, 2022, the City Council directed the Sacramento Police Department to collaborate with our commission to establish a community engagement process for providing the public an opportunity to review and comment on its military equipment use policies, practices, and procedures. In early 2023, a subgroup of commissioners, including myself, met regularly with the Assistant City Manager, Mario Lara, and the members of the Professional Standards Unit to collaborate on creating a community engagement process through which we succeeded in organizing 3 community forums hosted at local community centers in the North, South, and Central geographic regions. While the forums were specifically designed to solicit feedback on the proposed MEU, it was clear that there was a strong desire by Sacramento residents to be engaged more deeply and thoughtfully on policing in general. Many participants expressed profound mistrust and animosity towards the style of policing they encountered, particularly during protests, such as the George Floyd protests in 2022, or 2021. There was a lot of pent-up frustration expressed at each forum, but once it was voiced and acknowledged, it gave space for thoughtful discussion between the community and the police officers present. The Commission had produced and approved 13 recommendations related to the MEU policy, 5 of which were submitted to City Council during its first approval process back in that 2022 cycle. From these community discussions, the Commission produced a detailed report that was submitted to City Council in August 2023, which included 9 community-based recommendations for improving the city's MEU policy and bringing it into compliance with AB 481. As of today, the Council now has 22 MEU recommendations that we have presented, that we have shared to you since 2022. Again, through these community discussions, the Commission heard many comments and suggestions from the public at the forums that meaningful changes they wish to see that would make the MEU policy responsive to the needs of community and help repair the damaged relationship our city has with the police department. Many of these comments aligned with the 13 MEU recommendations that we submitted to you in 2022. Some of those, just to highlight a few of those, that include requiring SPD to track and report all military equipment deployments in its annual MEU report that you're supposed to be receiving this summer, rather than only reportable uses of force or discharges of military equipment as it currently does, which improves upon one of our recommendations from 2022. It also asks to clearly state in its policy when and where military equipment and recommendations are prohibited from deployment, use, or discharge separately from its authorized uses sections currently in the policy. In addition, community members wanted to see ambiguous language removed from the policy that allows military equipment deployments in virtually any situation where police believe they have either a tactical advantage or for crowd control purposes, which currently can be authorized against protests or crowds with as few as 4 people standing together under current state law. When citywide policing changes are made outside of the 2-minute comment periods afforded to the public at city council meetings, there are not many venues for the public to engage directly with the police department and have their concerns voiced. This became clear at the forums when community members raised valid questions about whether the police department is truly open to changing its tactics and if the forums themselves had any chance of leading to meaningful change. Some of the changes community members desired included a standardized process with clear timelines for soliciting community feedback on its MEU policy so that they can actually be incorporated into its annual updates. It also called for independent oversight of SPD's MEU policy in compliance with AB 481, outside of the Sacramento Police Department and the City Council. One of the key takeaways expressed by the public is that SPD cannot be trusted to self-certify its compliance with AB 481 or its adopted MEU policy. Community members expressed interest in authorizing the commission and OPSA, which includes the Inspector General, to serve this oversight function, which the commission recommends designating OPSA the responsibility of investigating individual policy violations and misconduct and recommending disciplinary action, while the Police Review Commission be responsible for reviewing and providing recommendations for how to fix the MEU policy to prevent nonconforming uses in the next year. It also called for having deeper engagement from you all on City Council by investing in our community engagement activities as a commission and coordinating directly with us to either host a community meeting within your respective districts or at least attend one of the community meetings in a listening capacity within the bounds of the Ralph M. Brown Act. To date, we're still waiting for a formal response from the Sacramento Police Department. At the end of 2018, the Police Review Commission provided 27 recommendations to the police department, 25 of which related to diversity and 2 of which to use of force. At the end of 2019, the police department received 31 recommendations, 4 relating to body-worn cameras, 9 to mental health, and 18 to use of force policy. While Sacramento City Code provides that the Commission shall advise and make recommendations to the City Council regarding police policy, procedures, and best practices, the Code is silent on how the recommendations should be communicated to the Police Department and the City Council. In its November 2021 audit of our commission, the Sacramento Community Police Review Commission, the city auditor found that recommendations presented in 2019 and 2020 were written largely as a standalone recommendations without sufficient support or justification when compared to other civilian oversight agencies. To address this criticism, the Commission in 2023 collaborated with the Police Department to create a new process for evaluating recommendations. The first step being to agreeing to a standardized template for how recommendations would be captured, which is helping implement the auditor's recommendation by creating that expectation for the Commission to provide specific details, relevant examples, and actual language, which is here in your 196-page packet. This document has made it easier for the police department as well to provide a formal written response to each recommendation that we can evaluate, which all 170 recommendations that we have produced so far have been transferred to this new template. In addition, the Commission worked more closely with the police department through biweekly meetings with a subgroup of commissioners to allow for in-depth policy discussions and facilitate greater understanding between our respective bodies. And using this new approach, we were able to review and discuss all 2018 and 2019 recommendations, and we are submitting these evaluations based on these discussions to City Council for your consideration and approval. Accompanied here in each recommendation was the police department provided one of the following dispositions for both 2018 and 2019 recommendations. Overall, between the 2 years, they claim to approve and implemented 38 recommendations, approved and have pending 3 recommendations, have partially implemented 7 recommendations, have been unable to implement 7 recommendations, and have denied 2 recommendations, with an additional 2 being available for pending review. The Commission reviewed each of these responses and discussed them with the police department and accompanied it with an evaluation with one of the following dispositions for their implementation of both between 2018 and 2019 recommendations. We evaluated and found that 14 recommendations were fully implemented, 14 were partially implemented, 7 have been started, and 18 were not implemented, with 5 pending further review based on the degree of time that has passed since recommendations were approved and the changes in city code, as well as departments such as the Department of Community Response. On June 20th, 2023, the OPSA presented to the City Council their audit findings, which focus on the improper search and seizure of the police department, by the police department. Following that June presentation, the Commission received a presentation from OPSA as well, and after reviewing the report and engaging with the OPSA Director, Dr. Letitia Watson, and Inspector General Dwight A. White, the Commission concurred with all the audit's findings and recommendations. While some recommendations spoke for themselves, Commissioners wished to see more explicit detail in the recommendations and identified adjacent concerns, which led us to producing 16 recommendations related to search and seizure practices, including accountability and organizational culture. Some just to highlight was the creation of an affirmative Fourth Amendment policy that requires, that includes new reference manuals and general orders that clearly define and articulate SPD's authority, procedures, and limits for their search and seizure practices, including governing such instances of pat-downs, consent searches, investigatory stops, and detentions, as well as search and seizure practices around digital devices such as cell phones and probation searches. We also called for establishing creating a standalone affirmative policy that clearly defines and articulates SPD's rules and procedures for engaging with youth or juveniles or minors under the age of 18, with an explicit call for the policy to require a recognition of youth as a protected class of people. We also asked for just a few more highlights as well, establishing a reference manual governing traffic enforcement policies, which includes, just making sure I have that right on the right one. Yes, I was in the right one. We also have, just to highlight as well, reference manual governing traffic enforcement policies, practices, and procedures that provide clear, detailed descriptions of how the police department conducts traffic stops, vehicle searches, and other investigative practices, as well as affirmative language requiring them to report such instances of why they stopped and why they stopped the motorist and whether the vehicle was searched. And it explicitly called for the elimination of the use of pretextual stops within the city of Sacramento. Another one that I would direct your attention to is number 10, which calls for a reorganization of the Police Department's Office of the Chief to separate the Internal Affairs Division and reorganize it as a civilian-led division under the Office of Public Safety Accountability for the purpose of independent civilian oversight. This would also include establishing a clear outline of procedures and zero-tolerance code of conduct for supervising personnel in the department to investigate all police misconduct complaint cases within an employee's assigned division, including supervisors and the internal affairs personnel to turn over all documents and materials to OPSA for review and clearance before any case may be closed or any disciplinary action taken. We also, one other highlight on this slide is the policy to create an affirmative policy for engaging pregnant persons, including establishing them as a protected class, being that along with the youth policy, does not exist under the current published policies and procedures listed on the city's website. And that includes prohibiting handcuffing a pregnant person undergoing childbirth. And another affirmative policy was one for engaging disabled persons that recognizes them as a protected class as well, including requiring officers to exhaust de-escalation tactics before using deadly force against them. And among other ones was publicly publishing a list of all the general orders and reference manuals, even ones that may not be may be redacted or considered sensitive under government code, to be available on the website, even if only just in list format, among other recommendations. So, to the work plan this year, we are interested in looking forward to conducting the joint workshop with you all in City Council, with the hope of addressing the city auditor's recommendations to identify dedicated staffing for the commission, which we still are currently without, and clarify city code to establish commission's purpose with clear roles, duties, and function. We also we also intend to review and evaluate the police department's responses for outstanding recommendations for years 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. With the hope that we will be able to engage the department in these discussions, just as we did with 2018 and 2019. We are currently almost completely through the 2020 recommendations until the department disengaged from the commission and have met with us during our biweekly meetings. We are also looking to present past year recommendations, being that the last set of recommendations that you all heard as a full body was back in 2021 when we presented our 2020 recommendations. We're hoping to present our 2021, 2022, and eventually the 2023 recommendations at least. The big item that came up, which council just approved within our work plan, was we met as a commission, and based on the feedback from council and staff and the commission itself, we are committed to organizing up to 3 public community forums and workshops related to policing topics, one of which would be the military equipment use policy as required by AB 481, and another covering a wide range of public safety topics. And we're hoping to complete our annual report and recommendations before the end of the year. Here before you are the work topics and priorities that the Commission is prepared. For each policy item, the Commission will need commissioners to volunteer to conduct research, analyze complex policy, and meet with the Sacramento Police Department, community stakeholders, academia, and other experts in order to complete our recommendations and do this work. The 3 topic areas include community policing and response, which includes a study and review of the department's community engagement programs, such as its Community Advancement Academy, and community policing initiatives, such as its violent crime prevention strategy. There is also interest in reviewing policies, trainings, and procedures related to vehicle chases, traffic enforcement, and non-emergency response. We are also looking to review the department's strategic planning and budget management, which was carried over from our work plan last year when we were looking to do a fiscal analysis of the department's recent budgets and expand it to review SPD's policies and procedures for strategic planning, staffing assignments, and budgetary management. We're also focusing in on civilian oversight, engagement, and function, where we hope to work with the city to both clear the remaining backlog of recommendations and create a formal process for the Commission's recommendations to move forward for City Council action. And we will seeking to work with the police department to review and discuss which recommendations have been adopted, rejected, or if no action has been taken further with those recommendations. So, see the opportunities that we see before us. We're eager again to move forward with the joint workshop. We also hope that Council's considerations of the revisions to Chapter 2.40 can help streamline the Commission's process for producing its annual report and recommendations through dedicated staffing, as well as a standard process that goes across all commissions. We also seek to continue building community participation and dialogue about city policing practices and programs by adopting the lessons learned from last year's community forums to improve and expand community engagement beyond the military equipment use policy. And of course, clearing the backlog. Ambitious as our work plan is, we're not without our challenges in accomplishing it as you all are certainly aware. In the past, the Commission has met publicly about 10 times per year. This year, however, the Commission was authorized to meet only 9 times. So I have already informed the City Clerk and the City Manager's Office that we will be requesting special meetings to ensure we can meet our obligations under City Code. Additionally, a number of challenges have been created with the Chapter 2.40 ordinance, which has been inhibiting our ability to function effectively. Most notably, several of our commissioners have been flagged for potential removal based on excused absences based upon the City Clerk's interpretation of the chapter. And that could ultimately lead to a brain drain and result in another period where the Commission cannot meet its quorum of 6, which we experienced for the first time back in January 2023. I'd also be remiss to name that the lack of transparency and engagement from the police department obstructs ongoing and future work by the Police Review Commission, as well as the Office of Public Safety Accountability. Not to mention damaging community trust in both our work in participating in, as well as within city leaders. One of the key points of frustration among the Commission and the public, which was expressed across each forum last year, was the missed opportunity to consider the community's feedback and the MEU policy, and the lack of good faith engagement, commitment to ensuring civilian oversight and accountability. Right now, we're still, we have, the police department hasn't been meeting with us, which has been limiting our ability to ask questions and get the work done during our public meetings. And when they are not engaging with us during our bi-weekly meetings, it also prevents us from getting the questions answered in a timely manner. As we are here in May and have just 7 months left within the calendar year, we're hoping that they will come back to the table and re-engage us in good faith and discussion so that we can clear the backlog that has been left over since 2018. I noticed too that the memo that was provided from the department based on the feasibility calls for some of our recommendations to be narrowed down, but would note that a lot of that has come from their disengagement with us as a body, as well as the several months of absences that they had between 2022 and 2023. With that, I'd like to thank you all on behalf of the commission. The commission is dedicated here to continue to be available to you as a resource as subject matter experts on city policing practices and procedures, and we hope to be available to answer your questions and meet with you to discuss these recommendations going forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Do we have other public testimony on the item?
Yes, Mayor, I have 3 speakers on this item: Mac Worthy, Kevin Bolts, and Marbella Sala.
People, the commissioners, do they have any police experience? That's the first thing. So how can they come in and tell the police what to do? It's a lot here. Now, what you showed here on the video of the probation where the little girl, the person on probation went on the house, that was a disgrace. That was to show the people to go against the police department. Search and seizure, military equipment, people, leave that alone. The commissioners have no ability to tell the police. Background, or any background of law enforcement, have the commission help the police department. Let the police department come forth and tell you what it'll help and what it haven't helped. You are destruction to the police department by using an agitated commission. Read my phone. Where have you been? You ain't been outside the state. You don't need no shit like that. You need somebody here that knows some background in the police department, and the police department make those calls. Do he make a call? Hell no. Just had 4 people killed in North Carolina, right in my territory. One U.S. Marshal, just by a simple call of the public said, well, you enforced it like, no. Police department use whatever it takes to solve the problem. We got to understand that. We got to understand the police department can't go by no thug saying, you ain't doing this right. Oh, he know how to do it right. Send him on a call. The call that the police department went in North Carolina, send him on one of those calls. For traffic stop, send him on one of those calls. And see what come out of that car. Wake up. Help the police department.
Thank you for your comments. Kevin Bolts.
Good evening, everyone. As I first stated just over 5 years ago now, my journey with Sacramento killing black people began with Joseph Mann, then came Stephon Clark, and at the time of those comments did not yet include Daryl Richards. As we all now know and the Richards family is very aware of, it now does include him. By the way, if you wonder when I started hating you, is when I listened to Daryl Richards' mother wail for 4 hours in a row and no one from your government was there except the police on all the adjacent blocks intimidating us. Which raises the questions, what happened between Stephon and Daryl, what didn't happen between Stephon and Daryl, and what should have happened between Stephon and Daryl. First, back in 2018 when the Police Review Commission requested subpoena power after the state-sanctioned execution of Stephon Clark, it should have been granted that power. Second, each and every one of the original 2018 and 19 and any subsequent recommendations from the Police Review Commission should be implemented immediately without delay. Third, Sacramento Police should cease any ongoing training or liaison programs with the State of Israel/Israeli Diaper Force, stop using any and all tactics trained by the IOF, including but not limited to the textbook kettle and corral used on March 4th, 2019, when SacPD arrested 84 protesters, including clergy, press, and parents with their children. That little maneuver cost the city $500,000 and made me an internet household name. Thank you, Daryl. But let's not live in the past. Just 2 days ago, a man died while in SacPD custody at the jail intake. I can't wait for them to investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. His heinous crime? 2 misdemeanor warrants. I've got 2 misdemeanors right now. I don't think I should die for it. The commission chair mentioned George Floyd in 2020, which was a fun year with the police. You implemented a completely illegal curfew, which the National Guard had to come in to protect Sacramento citizens from the police. And SacPD shot a woman in the eye, which she lost, and Danny Garza in the head while he wore a green NLG hat, who is so mentally disabled he cannot be an attorney anymore. So we need this commission because you killed
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Marbella Sala.
Good evening, I'm Marbella, and I'm here, first of all, as Measure U Commissioner. And I want to thank you very much for allowing the chair of the commission to present his PowerPoint and to present his annual report. My comment about that is it's a lot of work. I mean, doing that kind of work and they're volunteers and they don't have staff is because there's a commitment from them for this oversight. And I do believe oversight is important. We may not always agree, but the oversight is always important. And now I'm going to speak about as president of GNNA. So our community, in Garland Northgate, we have a lot of issues there. And I'm very grateful for our Captain Chandler and Lieutenant Morris because they're willing to sit down with our community. And our community has issues and trust issues with the police, don't get me wrong, but they're willing to come and listen and sit down and dialogue. And I believe that's what should be happening here, is dialogue, listening is important. You're not always going to agree, but come to some understanding. So, thank you.
Mayor, I have no more speakers on this item.
Thank you. Let me turn it over to the members of the City Council. Councilmember Valenzuela.
Thank you. I will be brief because I really want to vote on this annual report and work plan so that they can get to work because, as was mentioned, it is May. I don't believe that the intent of the amendments we made to Chapter 2.4 were to prevent information from coming to the full council or to somehow create a more complicated process. I think the goal was better communication and more transparency. And so I just want to say that, as I know I've communicated to the mayor on previous instances, I don't know if there's been an annual report this year that we haven't pulled off consent to hear about. It's not just the police commission. We pulled the Active Transportation Commission. We've pulled others as well. Not everybody sits on P&PE. And so I just want us to know that this is a volunteer group who once a year gets a chance to come to the body and talk a little bit about what they've been doing. So I'll just continue to register that desire. But with that, I'd love to call the question and just to continue to reiterate with my colleagues how urgently I feel we need to have this joint discussion. There are tensions here that I don't know we can work through rather than, as the coach likes to say, getting in a room and saying, hey, let's just work it out and look at each other across the table. So really support us moving forward with that as quickly as we can so that we can establish some sort of process. Because also the intent, I think, of this was not for the commission and the department to go back and forth for eternity. Eventually, the intention was for us as policymakers to weigh in with the city manager up here to weigh in and say this is how we think this should go. And so I just want to break that logjam up a little bit, but I don't know how we do that without having this joint conversation about how to move through this in a thoughtful and effective way. So put that out there, and yeah, hope my colleagues will move this forward so that they can get to work and we can continue the conversation.
Thank you. Councilmember Vang.
Thank you, Mayor. I just first wanted to take this moment just to thank Keon for the thorough presentation and just all of our commissioners for your hard work that you put in day out. Also want to give a shout out to the vice chair. I see him in the audience as well, Manuel, and just really want to thank both of you for chairing it and being a vice chair for the commission. I really appreciate the work that the commission is doing in tracking, not just what we're planning to do in 2022, 23, but going back to 2018 and kind of naming like what has been implemented, which one is still in the queue, those that have already been implemented, and giving credit to the PD where it's due, right, which you have, and those that have been denied and their rationale for being denied. So really appreciate just being steadfast on those recommendations that you've made to the city council. For me, at the end of the day, these recommendations is really just it's about just continuous improvement in the city, right? What can we do better as a city to serve and protect our communities? And so always really appreciate our commission. I too am looking forward to the joint conversation because I feel like that's where we can get a lot of the work done because a lot of it is policy decisions that need to be made on these recommendations. So really looking forward to that and hoping that we can get that scheduled this year, maybe after budget, but hopefully this year as soon as possible. And then I just wanted to raise just one point and to city manager as well. And I am kind of aware of just the current situation of the commission. I understand that Mario is currently staffing the police commission at this point, right? And just wanted you to share a little bit why, because I know that our Parks Commission is staffed by our YPSI staff, like our park staff, and so for me, it only makes sense as a resident, why is the police commission not staffed by a police officer or someone from the police department? And just wanted to direct that question to you on the rationale of, and Mario does great work. I think he oversees public safety and he's the point person, but I just think it's quicker and faster if you have someone from the police department being able to have that open communication. But I don't run the city, so I wanted to ask you that of why do we not have someone from PD staffing the police commission? So.
Sure. So, Councilmember Vang, with the adoption of this work plan, which is something we've been waiting on, we're happy to staff it with appropriate police staff and subject matter experts, but we didn't want to do so without having an adopted work plan. One of the things I wanted to say prior to this being voted on is that we will be coming back with a cost to implement this work plan and timeline, and also the review by this council what the backlog looks like, because there's quite a bit. We've attempted to come back to this council on several occasions with those recommendations, and it was 2 chairs ago, I believe, that the mayor negotiated on what we should be bringing back to this council, with the understanding that this work plan process was going to come back. So we're here. I could do it off agenda memo. I could do it in open session with our police department to talk about the adoption of this work plan, what it looks like, the cost to implement, and timeline. I think that's very key, because if we don't know what that looks like and we don't set expectations appropriately, there's going to be a lot of disappointment all the way around.
Sorry, Mayor Credit.
No,
I was going to say, is it possible to have that ready before this joint meeting? Because fair point, right? It takes staff time, but I think that's important for us to know as we're engaging that conversation when we have the joint meeting as well. And so hope that you can bring that analysis soon. I would like to have this joint meeting as soon as possible, so I don't want that analysis to delay that joint meeting, but absolutely, I hear you on just the capacity and resources, but that's for every commission, right? I think there's a reason why we have this commission, because it's about continuous improvement, and they are our expertise in the community to provide us guidance. So I just want to make sure that we do our due diligence on that. So agree with you on the analysis, but hopefully
it will not hold the joint meeting back.
Okay, great. Okay.
It will not.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Keon, and just the team for your presentation.
I want to make a quick comment. Or Eric, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank my commissioner, Manuel Buenrostro, for his commitment. We pulled him from the Active Transportation Commission. He had some experience on how to work on a commission, and put him in this role here, and I appreciate him working with our city staff to help us move forward. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So just a couple comments. I'm not naive about some of the challenges here and some of the underlying tensions. It's well known and well reported, but your report actually, Mr. Bliss, tells me that there's actually a little bit more progress being made than maybe everybody realizes. There is now a process for considering the backlog recommendations. Many of the recommendations have in fact been considered. And some still need to be considered. In my view, I just separate the personalities here, because everyone's strong personalities here, anybody who gets in this business. The problems are a product of our balkanized government here. And I'm not making an argument for you know what, but it is the product of our balkanized government. It just is. And I think there's sometimes some role confusion, like what Howard just said. I just want to make sure I understood it, that we need to cost out the impact of their work plan recommendations. In other words, what it's going to take to do the research, or the actual implementation of the recommendations themselves. Go ahead.
Yeah, both.
Well, because let's, to me, it is right and reasonable, and that's why we try to do this. The idea of this process was to try to have the staff, the members, and the commission collaborate on a work plan early in the year or late in the prior year to cost out the what staff resources it would take to help staff the commission's work. And if the cost was too onerous, to have the staff input and try to scale it back and negotiate it so that when we get to this point, we approve it. It's an approved work plan with the staff available to help implement the work plan. Now, that's different from whether or not their ultimate recommendations that come out of the work plan are accepted by the city council or rejected by the city council. That's all fair game, right? But what I think the confusion here, is that we want them to develop a work plan. We want them to then be aggressive about making their recommendations. But then they know, and everybody knows, that ultimately it's the elected body and the appointed officials who are responsible for actually making the decisions. If we can just separate a little bit. Now that we have the work plan, let them do their work plan with the assistance of the police department on the research side. Let them come back with their recommendations. They make 10 recommendations. If 8 of them the department agrees with, then we're 80% of the way there. And then we can debate the other 2. But let's maybe get out of each other's way and let everybody do their own work. And the staff and the police department has every right to support, oppose, or seek modification of any recommendation that the commission makes. And the reason why that doesn't happen in a functional way, I mean, I mediate every single day in this job, and usually pretty successfully. This one is just, for 7 years, has just been hard. And we've made some progress. In part, it's the balkanized government, and in part, it is the passion and, frankly, the division in the community and even among colleagues about the modern role of policing in America and in Sacramento in 2024. I mean, this is heavy, heavy stuff here. And I would urge everyone to try to take a deep breath and see one another and see that this is a reflection of what's going on in American society. I think it is a fair city council that's pretty balanced on all these issues. Some people lean one way, some people lean the other, but together we problem solve together. But if we can just separate the roles here, let the commission do its job with this work plan that we approved tonight, with the support now of the city police department and the staff, and then it's all fair game whether or not we agree, disagree, or otherwise on the recommendations. I think we'll be much better off going forward. Kian? Wasn't a question, but okay.
Oh, I know. I appreciate your thoughtful response, and I agree that we shouldn't impede each other's work or get in each other's way to the extent within city code. This is only my first term on the Police Review Commission. This is my 4th year now, and this it ends the end of this year. And a lot of what I've seen from the department was, in the beginning, was them regularly attending our meetings. They showed up to most of them. They were absent for a few, but it wasn't until 2022 that we really saw that absence come into play. And we've made it clear as commissioners, I think many of them have reached out to you all directly, that the need to have a uniformed officer that is available to answer our questions in real time is how we can actually function. Mm-hmm. And when we don't have that, it's actually an obstruction of our work. It gets in our way.
Well, maybe there's a pathway to move forward here. I think that's what we're maybe sort of accomplishing here tonight. Okay?
Hope so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say, or did you want to, okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain. The work plan is approved. Thank you all very much. All right, that ends the formal council agenda. I'm going to turn it over to Vice Mayor Maple. Thank you.
Favorite job. All right. Madam City Clerk, why don't we move on to public comment not on the agenda?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have 12 speakers. Sonia Hendrens. Sonia, then Charles Faust, Mac Worthy, Tiffany Clark, and Elliot Clark.
Welcome.
Hello. I would like to invite you to the Sacramento Ride of Silence tomorrow, May 15th. The Ride of Silence is an international bicycle ride that has been happening annually for over 20 years. It honors cyclists who have been killed or hit on our roads. This year's Sacramento Ride of Silence meets tomorrow, May 15th, at 6:30 p.m. on the Capitol grounds near 15th and N Street. We will visit several sites where cyclists have been killed or hit here in Sacramento. Even if you cannot make the ride, please notice tonight on your way out of City Council the ghost bike across the intersection at the corner of 10th and H Street where Trevor Kane Miccarelli was killed in 2016. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Charles Faust, then Mac Worthy.
Good evening. I was taking a couple months off from the stuff that I do homeless related, just like a nice mental health break. But I get calls all the time, and I'm going to answer them because sometimes it's people that are about to kill themselves that are homeless. Sometimes it's women I'm the first person they want to talk about their rape with, so I pick up. I used to get a lot more calls from people on the street. These days I'm getting a lot more calls from people in city shelters about the suffering they're going through and the stuff that they're seeing and other stuff going on in them. Something needs to be done about the conditions of these shelters. It's not the county shelters I'm getting calls about, it's just city shelters. That's really all I have.
Next speaker is Mac Worthy. Following Mr. Worthy is Tiffany Clark, then Elliott Clark.
I see things here that takes me back to the 50s, South Carolina. And then we see a person say, well, that's race equity. Nobody talk about the property equity, do they? What is your property equity? It's nothing in race, people. This only to keep the race issue up. This only to put these people in the housing over here, and they say, oh, here, oh, here. That's where the 60s movements were done, integration. Same thing was promised us in integration. Didn't all the economic stuff, it didn't go. That's when Martin King got his head blown. Because it was a lie. And we see the same thing coming back here now. Police department, I have bloodline killed on a post. It's really, I just don't see them, a person that never had no law enforcement experience come along and say, well, you're supposed to do this, just like the probation thing. That was a disgrace. You know when a person on a probation, there's a probation officer know the working hours. Why did you go to the probation officer? No, you bring your stuff here in front of these people here and embarrass the police department. If it's commission should have known when you got probation. I have worked some of those people, gave them jobs, a recommendation. They got the report. So why didn't the police department talk to the commission? Why didn't the commission talk to the police department? They're ignorant. You're ignorant about law. You get people killed every day. The commission ain't out there. You're going to get people killed right in here, and those boys will be behind under mama's dress there. They're not going to be out there. The police department ain't going to be out there. That's who's going to be out there. And wake up, people. It's sad.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Tiffany Clark, Elliott Clark, then Patrick Clark, then Judith Esguerra Shelton.
Good evening, again, council members. Just here to touch on a couple of extra things. First, I wanted to thank council members for the comments that were made this afternoon. I appreciate the consideration for possibly fast-tracking reform. I'm thinking there are certain amounts of minimal reform that could happen, perhaps while the fees are withheld. My understanding of what happened today was sort of a baseline approval and then further discussion, possible amendment for the 21st. Our family will not be in town on the 21st, so we won't be speaking, but I'm available by phone. I've done a lot of research in this area, and I think there can be some tentative temporary reforms that are made while we perhaps hold off on those fee increases. And and then work on maybe longer-term reform in the longer term. And I did want to touch on a couple of other things. I know I did a little bit of back of the envelope math, and the $100,000 in potential lost fees is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the $66 million deficit. And if we only put it off for a year or so and make those reforms, that would be very helpful. And then I also wanted to mention that my husband is here. He managed to come in just in the nick of time. He also has been dealing with exceptional burdens. He was advised by staff many years ago to consider a virtual office, and almost $15,000 in virtual office fees later. He would really just like to establish a home occupation and no longer have that virtual office, but he'll speak to that. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I just would be open to any calls or emails or questions of any kind, and I really appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Elliot, then Patrick, then Judas Esgara Shelton.
Good evening, council members. My name is Elliot Clark. I'm the son of Tiffany Clark. I first want to say that I'm happy that you talked about potential for amending some of the fee increases that you talked about this afternoon for the fee increases for the home occupation fees, and also talking about considering reform for some of those home occupation rules. And I just want to add a little bit to what I said this morning about my own personal story. I am currently a college student, and part of the reason why I am currently going to college is because I couldn't have my own home occupation at the moment because we already have the maximum of 2. And my current plan is to go to college in order to work some other place, because my goal of having my own home business is currently impossible. And so in the short term, I'm just doing this until I can do that, and waiting until, frankly, there's any reform that happens. I've been hoping every year that there might be some reform that would happen. My mom has been working on trying to get reform for years now in order for myself to have my own business. But until that happens, I've kind of temporarily at least given up on that dream, even though if it ever, happens, of course I want it to happen, and I would jump on that opportunity in an instant. Just considering that reform, pushing it forward, trying to prioritize that would just be a huge help. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you for your comments. Patrick, then Judith.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Patrick Clark. I'm a labor relations consultant. I work for 50 different cities, counties, and special districts. And you've met my wife and my son. I operate as a consultant. I basically, at this point, do, like my wife mentioned, have a virtual office downtown. I opened it originally thinking that I might actually see clients there and so forth, but that's never happened once in 14 years. So I work exclusively at home or at my client's place of business. So City of Davis, Marysville, Placerville, all around here, I represent various different cities. And at this point, like my wife mentioned, having had a virtual office and paid the fees for basically no reason at this point, I would like to transition and have, a business from home with the home occupation permit. But in order to do that, even as things stand now, I would have to pay multiple thousands of dollars for the chance of a public hearing and getting approval, and with no guarantee that that would actually occur. And the proposal before you is to raise that up to $5,200. I think it's somewhat sad, because I'm quite sure with your economic problems that you're facing that you would actually like to stimulate economic development and encourage small businesses. And in our family alone, you have 2 businesses that would like very much to apply and get, in my son's case, get started, and for me, just save money that is not being, efficiently used. I think that really looking forward, I would more than just adjust the fees, but eliminate any cap for no impact businesses such as myself and the one that my son is proposing. And I thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Judith Esquire Sheldon, then Jackson Yoder, then Mary Tapple. Following Mary is Devontae Morris, then Kevin Bolts.
Okay, thank you, council. I'm addressing everyone on the council, although my point is about the mandatory duty of the lawyers in this city government. The Supreme Court approved a new Rule 8.3 of the American Bar Association Rules of Professional Conduct on August 1st, 2023. That was last year. Rule 8.3 requires lawyers, all lawyers, to report misconduct of another lawyer without undue delay, to report the misconduct to the tribunal or the state bar, to investigate or act up on such misconduct when the lawyer knows of credible evidence that another lawyer has committed a criminal act or is engaged in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, intentional misrepresentation. The case number that I'm referring to is 34-2021-00295-965 under the court jurisdiction of Judge Richard Tsuyoshi. The lawyers who fabricated evidence in that case are Susanna Alcala-Wood, Michael Benner, Angel Solis, Richardson Griswold, Neil Schaefer. Because Daryl Steinberg has an active license with the state bar, and I have provided credible evidence of the misconduct, all of these lawyers are required, mandatory, obligation, duty to report so that the tribunal can act and investigate the misconduct. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jackson Yoder, then Mary Tapple.
The following is a conversation between me and my friend Serena Alawad, who lives in Gaza. She is originally from Gaza City and has currently been displaced to Rafah, where she is sheltering in a refugee camp with 1.5 million other Palestinians. I feel like I'm on the verge of breaking down all the time, but I look around the world and see students and young people everywhere shutting down colleges for Gaza. It fills me with so much hope. I really hope that people will never forget this, that this is the year that Israel pays for its crimes and Palestine is free. You know what, Jackson? I have lost hope in humanity long time ago, but seeing the students protesting in universities has brought me so much hope for the future. If this genocide ends, they have stopped it. Only them. I said this before and I will say it again. If I only had one thank you to give, it will be for them. I am glad that I got to survive to this day and witness students protest. I am sending them so much love, strength, and power, and may their voices never be silenced. One more thing. Their protests have made Israel afraid for the first time since this started, to the point that their prime minister has spoken about it, and he hadn't said a word about any protests before. So they must continue making Israel uncomfortable. They must continue to save our lives. They are so close to ending this genocide. This city council would not move on this for 7 months. And in the span of a week and a half, Sac State students successfully led a divestment program in Sac State. And we are currently seeing the same at UC Davis, and hopefully we'll see the same at local colleges like ARC, Consumnes River, and Sac City. Camp Resolution is due to be swept tomorrow. I urgently suggest that you not.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Mary Tapple. Following Mary is Devontae Morris, then Kevin Bolts and Marbella Sala. I have 4 more speakers.
Good evening, members of the council and vice mayor. I'm here again to speak about the continuing need for more public safety along the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail. First and foremost, thank you all for a lot of progress in getting all of the just parked in the Parkway area vehicles, completely unauthorized vehicles, getting them all off. They are all off, and I believe a lot of you worked on it. Thank you particularly to our council district member, Tao, and also to assistant city managers and other the park safety rangers who've helped with this. We now we still have, unfortunately, unauthorized vehicles driving on the bike trail, directly on the bike trail. In spite of this, I observed when it only taken me a half hour to prune this vegetation down so that people could be seen. For example, after I pruned it, the person on a bike was visible, not before. But I saw a big black sedan and or SUV, and I think the park safety ranger had just told that person not to go on driving on the trail. And I also saw a motorcycle come speeding onto the trail, and so that was 3 motorized vehicles that were prohibited. And I also want to thank the Sacramento Police Department for their excellent response to my, unrelated to this visibility problem, 911 call for real bad fighting at the homeless encampments north of I-8.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Devontae Morris.
Hello. Sacramento needs to change its laws or California needs to change its laws when it comes to applying for apartments, especially people that are receiving SSI or government benefits like disability benefits or survivor's pay. They cannot make 2 to 3 times the rent. That's all they get by law. That's all they get. And you guys need to create some type of law, or there's an ADA law that already exists for reasonable accommodations where you exempt them when applying for apartments. A lot of apartments and student housing require 2 to 3 times the income, and a person receiving Social Security, disability, or survivor's pay will never ever get 2 to 3 times that income. So that person, we're refused housing, and a lot of people are out on the streets that do get money from the government that don't have to be out there. They could be paying for apartment, but because they don't make 2 to 3 times a month's income, they can't get the apartment, or they can't get housing and stuff. So Sacramento or California, the state of California, needs to change its laws or enforce ADA laws when it comes to a reasonable accommodation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Kevin Bolts, then Marbella Sala will be our final speaker.
Just want to quickly say comprehensive rent control would solve most of that individual's problems. I was going to read a poem, but Mahmoud Darwish would be lost on most of you. So instead, I'll read a poem from myself. It's called Israel, not Russia. Because despite what all you neoliberals and neoconservatives intended for Russia, you instead did it to Israel. Israel has an ever-shrinking and unsustainable economy, not Russia. Israel has massive fleeing of its civilians, up to 500,000 since October 7th, not Russia. Israel is a global pariah, having an ever-shrinking list of friends, including the global south, not Russia. Israel is sanctioned thanks to the Houthis and has completely shut down the port of Eilat, not Russia. Israel is not part of a global premier alliance on the up and up. Russia is. And also, Israel has a next generation that wants no part of its national project, not Russia. To quote the mother of the martyr Ibrahim al-Nabusi, "O people of Gaza, people of dignity and glory, we see the victory within our eyes. We see it in the blood of the martyrs that we plant on earth. Our martyrs, O people of Gaza, we don't bury them, we plant them in the earth like ears of wheat. And like ears of wheat, when we plant one, 100 rise." A U.S. general said during the War on Terror that for every one person you kill, you create 10 terrorists, as they like to call them. By that math, you've created about 400,000 Hamas fighters for the next generation. You will not win. You cannot win. Israel exists as a bulwark of the Western world, and as the Western world grows tired of it, it will not need a reason to exist anymore and is digging its own grave. Next
speaker is Marbella Sala.
The best for last. I'm just like thinking to myself, wow, it wasn't my intent to come up here so many times. But I really want to thank you, Councilmember Vang, for explaining to us why this day was so important in the Hmong culture. I didn't realize that, and so I appreciate you sharing that with us. And then I also want to state, because I missed the wrong number, that the support that you all gave for getting the grant transportation monies for Northgate Mobility Plan is so important. I know it's not a lot, but it's a beginning, and our community has been waiting for something for a very long time, so I was happy to see that, and anything that GNNA can do to support that grant or support finding other resources, because the whole plan is $100 million. It's $100 million, and I know you're going to need money from other sources, so we're here to help you and get that resources. And then my last comment is, if we had a language access department, the young women that were here, you would have had an interpreter for her, and wouldn't have had to rely on someone, because you would have known, it would have been posted in your agenda. If you need interpreting services, contact us, and you would have arranged for an interpreter. So that's my last comment and my last push for the importance of having language access services for the city. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, colleagues, we'll move on to council comments, ideas, questions, AB 1234 reports. I see first up, Councilmember Valenzuela.
Thank you. I don't normally do announcements, so I'm breaking my tradition and doing, because we have so many cool things happening this weekend. But first is and honestly, I can't think of a better time to be celebrating the 21st anniversary of the State Capitol World Peace Rose Garden. We'll be out there on Saturday at 12:30. I believe Councilmember Kaplan plans to join me to present a council resolution honoring the occasion. But this is our office's second year sponsoring and participating in this event. It's just a really lovely time. So I hope folks will join us to present this resolution and to just, send some good energy out there to have more peace in the world. Also on Saturday, we were doing our belated Cinco de Mayo event at Miller Park with the Sacramento Lowrider Commission. Our high school intern, Chanel, did a poster contest for young people, and you can get a screen print of the winning design if you come. It is free for all ages. It starts at 11 a.m. at Miller Park, and there will be food, beautiful cars, a whole kids zone, and I think it runs until 4 p.m. And then finally, next Thursday, the LGBTQ plus Historic Experience Project is hosting their second public meeting at the Hart Senior Center at 6 p.m. They will provide dinner. I'm just so excited about the way this project has taken form and how much community engagement there has been in fundraising to support the city's efforts on this. And there's just a whole community advisory committee that's really rallied around staff working on this. So I hope folks, and I encourage people to attend again next Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Hart Senior Center, May 23rd, for the LGBTQ plus Historic Experience Project's second public meeting. And that is it. Thank you.
Excellent. Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This Wednesday is Food Truck Mania. We are going to have Bang & Bowls, JoJo's Hawaiian Fried Chicken, Namaste Foods, Smokin' You Barbecue and our Chardonnay Treat Factory. It's at the Westlake Park from 5 to 8. There will be misters. There's restrooms, playgrounds, so come out, enjoy some local music and support local businesses. And then Saturday is going to be a busy day. From 9 to 10 is yoga in the park at North Natomas Regional Park. Then I am joining Councilmember Valenzuela at the Rose Garden for World Peace Day. And then at night, Saturday, May 18th, our Natomas community is holding a Natomas night market from 5 to 9 p.m. So come on out, enjoy cuisines from the world, around the world, silent disco, beer garden, roller skating, and live entertainment. And then just a reminder, Natomas's Farmers Market will begin on Saturday, June 1st.
Wonderful. Councilmember Tao.
Just some community events in my district. Office of Economic Development and Innovation will be hosting its May Mixer this Thursday, May 16th, 5:30 to 8:30 at Tap Wine Lounge. Come join and network with city staff to learn about the Forward Together action plan. This is a free event, and another event in my district is Grant High School Hmong American Day. The Hmong Club at Grant High School will be hosting and celebrating Hmong American Day with special guest speaker Gia Vang, who's also a Sac State alum. She's the first Hmong news anchor with Embassy Bay Area. This event will focus on weaving legacies, liberation, a celebration of Hmong essence and leadership, Saturday, May 18th from 9 to 1 p.m. at Grant Union High School. Also on the same day is our May Day 2, which is a community block party hosted by the Del Paso Heights Community Association with the Sacramento Police Department. This is our second year hosting this event in the neighborhood, which will start from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Wonderful, some exciting events. Councilmember Jennings.
Well, I'm going to add to the excitement of all the events that are happening in the city of Sacramento. I want to make sure you don't forget about Trucks and Such. It's going to happen this Friday, May the 17th, from 5 to 8 p.m. at Garcia Bend Park. You can bring your chairs, your blankets, your family and friends, and join us for the delicious foods and a wide array of food trucks from Sacto Mofo with relaxing music in the background. Just want to make sure you know that Trucks and Such happens on the third Friday of every month, and that'll go through September. Hope to see you there. Also, hope to see you at the Southland Park Neighborhood Association Neighborhood Spring Mixer and Annual Meeting. That's also on Friday, May the 17th, from 5:30 to 8 p.m., and it's going to happen at the Bell Coolidge Park. There'll be a food truck there, there'll be a beer and wine garden, and live music. Also, special guests will include our own Assembly Member Stephanie Wynn and Assembly Member Kevin McCarty, as well as the Sacramento Police Department. So come on out and enjoy the beautiful weather and with your family and friends and get to meet some of the most important people in Sacramento. Hope to see you there.
Excellent news. All right, Councilmember Vang.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just have a few announcements. This Saturday at Luther Burbank is going to be the Burbank Bash Carnival, so encouraging community to come out. Burbank is located right on Florin, 3500 Florin Road. This is a free event for community. There's performances, activities, games, vendors, kids zone, food, raffle, giveaways, car show, and so much more. And so really encouraging folks to come out to that. And then just also wanted to let folks know that on May 23rd, we are having our Martin Luther King Jr. Community meeting about the renovations. The city and our office was able to secure over $5 million to do renovation on the Martin Luther King Library. And so we are doing a follow-up after all the listening session, after the analysis. Our library staff will be reporting back to the community, and we're going to talk a little bit about the renovation. So encouraging folks to come out on May 23rd from 6 to 7:30. The address is 7340 24th Street bypass, right by Sacramento Manor. And then I just want to give a shout out to our Asian Pacific Islander Employee Resource Group, inviting all city employee staff to celebrate with them. This Thursday, happening in District 4 at Woonland Park from 11:30 to 1 p.m. Join us for an inspiring, engaging, and entertaining lunch event celebrating really our API community, and it's led by our API ERG group, so just want to give them a shout out. Thank you.
Very exciting news. And now, Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. First off, I want to invite folks over to the Neighbors of College Glen Community, their monthly meeting from 5:30 to 6:30 at Bancroft Elementary School. And then also on Saturday, we're having a wonderful celebration, a ribbon cutting for a new business called Social Handmade Marketing over at the Talek Village Shopping Center, right next to Sac City Brews. It's a place where not only if you're into the crafts of and skills of sewing, but it's also a place for young kids to get a hands-on experience, and there'll be a lot of classes for families in the sewing world. And I'll be able to practice my needlepoint, which I enjoyed, in the Scouts. So next thing you know, on Sunday, we want to invite people out to the Sacramento Area Bike Association Velorama, where Saba, REI, and Bike Dog are going to be celebrating at Bike Dog Brewing Company. For May is Bike Month, so get your bikes out there this month. Sign up to May is Bike Month and log those miles in. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Excellent. May is Bike Month, lest we forget. I do need to make my way to work on a bike at least once this month, otherwise I should be shamed. Okay, I got a couple events coming up next week, but I do want to make sure folks get on your calendar. On Wednesday the 22nd next week, we will be hosting a 311 workshop. So we're so excited to have our staff from 311 out. They're going to help community members understand how to download the app, use the app, how to report, and all the other great things that come along with 311. We're so excited. We will be hosting that at the really wonderful, beautiful new facility of the Sacramento Native American Health Center next to Luther Burbank High School. They have their community room, so that's located at 3800 Florin Road. So please do come by 6 p.m. on the 22nd. And then we are hosting a movie night at McClatchy Park and Oak Park. We'll be playing Encanto. We're so excited. That'll happen at dusk, so around 8 o'clock. We'll have a big blow-up movie screen. We'll have a popcorn machine, snow cone machine, lots of fun vendors, and it's a family-friendly event. So please bring your own blankets, chairs, and other accessories. So we look forward to seeing you there at dusk on the 24th on Friday. So that's it for announcements. I see Councilmember Jennings.
Well, I heard it's Bike Month in May, right? So, and I know that because on last Thursday, in case you didn't know, we opened up the Del Rio Bike Trail.
Oh, that's
right? And Councilmember Vang and I were out there opening up the trail, and it's an incredible trail. You get your bike, it's wonderfully paved, it's beautiful, it's got flowers and trees, and it's just a wonderful ride. It's a ride you can do with the whole family. And so I just want to encourage you, if you don't want to get on a long ride, this is like a 3 to 5 mile ride, and it's one that you'll enjoy, and I encourage you to go out there. All of the community is loving the bike trail, and they are so glad that it's there, not only for people who bike, but also for those who walk, who want to do a little small scooter or a skateboard or something like that. But right now, it's just a wonderful bike trail, and I encourage you to get out there and take a ride.
Take a ride before it becomes an inferno in Sacramento on the Del Rio Trail. And so that's a really good point. And a shout out to former Councilmember Jay Chenier and all of his work to make the Del Rio Trail a reality. He did, in fact, ride his bike to the ribbon cutting, which I respected. All right, colleagues, seeing nothing else to come for the Sacramento City Council, we are adjourned at 7:53 p.m.